Hello friends, I'm delighted to welcome you to this webinar where we are going to discuss how to use ECAT for bank branch audit. Let me start sharing the screen. This is what we are going to learn in the webinar. How to perform powerful analytics in a few clicks. We are going to cover a case study with a demo of bank branch audit. And I plan to cover more than 21 techniques of how to use data analytics for bank audit. This is just a brief introduction of myself. I'm CA Abdul Rafiq, Managing Director of Windsor Infotech Limited. I passed my CA final exam in 1985 and the CISA exam in 1995. And I've got special expertise in data analytics, business intelligence, and also in COBIT, which is a global framework for information technology governance, risk control, and assurance. I've experienced more than 35 years and especially focused on IT-enabled services. So the last 2 decades, I've been passionate about developing solutions for chartered accountants and CXOs. There's a brief overview of our company. We aspire to be a global leading solution provider in data analytics for empowering professionals to realize the potential by applying thought to technology. We believe in revolutionizing the assurance, compliance, and consulting services for CAs by providing them tools which are very powerful for performing data analytics, BI, and AI. And you will be able to see example of this in this presentation. Most of the solutions we develop are innovative software solutions. We empower CAs and CXOs to harness the power of technology to provide value addition. How to perform powerful analytics in a few clicks. Let's look at what are the agenda we are going to cover in this webinar. This webinar was scheduled for 60 minutes, but based on the practical techniques which I would like to show, I may extend it by another 15 to 20 minutes depending on the need, because I want to see that all the practical techniques are actually covered. So I'll be using a file, an advanced file, and performing various types of analytics using the file. And I'll also walk you through the different steps for performing analytics. And this should be able to demonstrate the power of using analytics in any audit, including bank branch audit. The 4 key learning objectives of today's webinar are: first, we'll understand the key concepts or questions of analytics. Second, we'll understand what are the 7 steps for using data analytics. Third, we'll learn what are the key features of analytics, tools, and techniques. 4, we'll learn through demo of data analytics for bank branch audit. Now you can replace the file which I'm using with your own file, and the concept would still be applicable for you. Now you can use the same concepts which I'm using for bank branch audit for any audit, because the techniques are all same, but the inference you draw depends on the various types of assignments you're going to perform. Let's go to the first item of the agenda. The key concepts, the questions and of analytics which you're going to cover in this presentation. We know we are living in an increasingly digitized world, and data is available in a digital format. There's a time when there used to be issues about getting the data in a soft copy format. But now, even in the case of banks, we find that you can get the data for audit in the digital format. And there are pre-specified formats in which you can get the data. So the question that data is not available in digital format is no longer valid. The data is available. Now it all depends on how you learn, access, analyze this data. Say leadership begins with thinking. And the three concepts of leadership are creativity, curiosity, and critical thinking. As chartered accountants, we are supposed to be having all the three. In the case of data analytics, it's primarily important that we focus on critical thinking. And they say if you want to be a real problem solver, we should know how to ask the right questions and find out the right solutions. And data analytics is all about asking the right questions so that you can solve problems creatively. If you want to be a thought leader in the economic world, the position which we have been holding so far, it's important that we know how to learn and access and analyze the digital data. And they say data analytics, as I said, is all about asking the right questions with the right software to enable creative problem solving. Now, what are the key questions you need to ask? These are very simple and very common. So you need to know who, what, when, where, how, and why. For example, you have applied this to data analytics. You should be able to ask the question, who can use data analytics? What is data analytics all about? Third, when do I use data analytics? Where can I apply data analytics? And how do I apply data analytics? And why do I need to apply data analytics? Now, let me answer these questions quickly before we go to the practical aspect. Who can use data analytics? Anybody who is dealing with digital data, who has to analyze digital data, can use data analytic techniques. Some of you may say we are experts in Excel and Excel is more than enough. Now, today's presentation should give an idea that you can go beyond Excel. Maybe you can do 10 times of what you are doing in Excel using a data analytics software. So the thinking in the case of data analytics is completely different. You are looking at completely macro perspective. It's like you are driving a car and now you learn to fly. So there is a big difference between driving a car in a highly congested road and flying in the air. The type of speed and what you can accomplish is much more faster. Next, what is data analytics all about? I'll cover this a little later. If you have to summarize this, it's all about inferring insights from information. When can you use data analytics? Whenever data is available digitally, you can use data analytics. Where can you apply data analytics? Whatever be the type of assignment, whether you are doing an assurance, compliance, or a consulting assignment, you can definitely use data analytics to provide valuable insights, and you can provide value to your clients. How to use data analytics? I'm going to cover a little later the 7 simple steps in which you can learn to perform data analytics. Let me give you a very simple rule. If you know how to use Excel, you can definitely use any data analytics software. The software which I'm going to use for demo is ECAT, and it has been designed in such a simple way that if you know how to click, if you know how to select what you want, you should be able to get the result. Recently, I was told about a website called Data Bolta Hai. Now, if you go to the website, they give you ready-made reports based on specific criteria. I'm just wondering about this and thinking, kya data bolta hai? As far as I know, data nahi bolta hai. Data ko bulwana padta hai, which means data doesn't talk. We should learn how to make the data talk. And we can do this only if we know how to use data analytics. Now, if you've got any questions, I'll come to the questions in the end. Let me quickly complete the concepts, then I'll come to practical aspects, and then we'll also have questions. Why to use data analytics? I'm sure you are quite convinced about why to use data analytics. Whenever you have large volume of digital data, you can definitely enhance the power of technology by using the data analytics software and techniques. What type of questions can data analytics answer? You can talk about the questions of the past. That is, you can look at hindsight in terms of what happened, how many, how often, where, or you can look at the current situation and look at insights in terms of where is the problem, what actions need to be taken, why is this happening, or you can also perform predictions of the future, which is foresight. What if these trends continue? Our focus is primarily here on hindsight and insight in this presentation, because most of the cases as auditors, we deal with historical data and current data. Why data analytics software? They say that data analytics is a must-have capability for the audit function and is widely expected to become a part of its future. What is data analytics all about? In very simple terms, it is the science of examining raw data with the purpose of drawing conclusions about that information. Now let's come to the second topic, the 7 steps of using data analytics. This is very important because you should know how to use data analytics step by step. How to use data analytics? They say data is the new oil. Yes, definitely is the new oil. But you should know data doesn't talk on its own. You should learn how to make that data talk. And this is what is possible through data analytics. So if you want to harness the power of the data, we should know how to unlock its power. The key which can unlock the power of data is data analytics. Like they say, if data is the new oil, analytics is the engine which can be used to run it, to use it. Now, this is a simple step, how to use data analytics. You can have a standard process for this. You need to first get the right data which is required in the right format, curate and validate the data. Identify the type of test you want to perform based on the specific assignment. Now you need to select the specific tools to use and perform the tests. And once you perform the test, you should be able to draw inferences and insights from the results. And based on the inferences and insights from the results, you should be able to report risks and insights. This is where I also had an issue with data bolta hai, because data doesn't bolta hai, data doesn't talk. You should make the data talk. Data can be processed into information by any software, by any data analytic techniques. But to draw the right inference, you need to have the subject matter expertise and the knowledge to be able to come to the conclusion. For example, let's say you do an aging inventory, aging of the inventory, and you identify, the software identifies what are the grouping in which the inventory is available. Now it may say inventory between 0 to 180 days, 180 to 360 days, 360 to 720 days, 720 to 1095 days, and more than 1095 days. It can give you the percentage and the count and the value. But you should be able to analyze further and come to the conclusion as to what is the absolute inventory depending on the type of the business process. There could be a business where the sales cycle is 3 to 6 months. There could be a business where the sales cycle is only 1 month. Now, if you find where the sales cycle is only 1 month and the company is having inventory which is more than 3 months old, then definitely you know most of the inventory could be obsolete. Once you identified the obsolete inventory, you also need to do further analysis and look at why is this inventory obsolete? What could be the causes? And have they made any purchases recently? So it's not about the data being processed into information. The most important value which comes from any data analytics software is the user who is able to draw the right inference and insight from that results. Now, this gives you the 7 steps of using data analytics. First, you identify the objectives and the deliverable, identify the data which is required for your audit, and the platform in which the data is available. For example, let's say yesterday, I got a file which is an Excel format, but it's actually a CSV format. Now, you cannot perform data analytics on a CSV format file. So the first thing I had to do was identify the issue, identify what is the platform in which the data is available. I had to save that file as a XLS file. Once it is saved as an XLS file, you also find that most of the data formats are marked in Excel as general. Then I had to go to each of the columns and mark specifically whether it's a numeric column or a date column or a character column. Once I did the data is ready and we can perform data analytics. I'll show an example a little later. You need to understand the business process and the system because you have to apply the business validation rules and the criteria. Document the type of test. I'll show you actual process, how I've spent to actually perform this audit. So I have assumed that if I'm doing the bank audit, what are the steps I'm going to follow? I'm going to share it with you a little later when I give the demo. So you need to document the controls and tests you're going to perform for each of the files and the fields. And based on this, you apply relevant tools and techniques, which means you use the specific functions, and then based on the results, you draw inference and insights and prepare the outputs and reports as required. So if you were to summarize all the discussion we had so far, data analytics is all about applying thought to data for inferring insights. I hope you'll agree with this definition. Let's go now to the third part of the agenda, which is what are the key features of analytics, especially the tools and techniques. Now, broadly, I would like to cover at a macro level. So if you look at the type of analytics, they can be matching, grouping, ordering, joining, or filtering. The type of data could be structured, and you have the detection rate could be low, and there could be false positive also. Now, then you have the anomaly detection, clustering, risk ranking, statistics, which also applies on structured data, where the detection rate could be high. Now, when say detection rate is high, which means the software cannot detect on its own, you have to draw the inference from it. Then you have unstructured data. We are not going to get into the details of this, where, for example, like in Google, you can do a keyword search, and there are various software you can do, let's say, data analytics on, let's say, the Facebook data or the Twitter data. And you also have unstructured data. You can also do visualization or drill down and text mining. Our primary focus is on the data analytics on structured data. Now, these are the key CAT functions or data analytic functions, which most of you would be familiar with in MS Excel. The only issue with MS Excel is it is not designed with the analytics perspective. It was designed for the user to perform processing of information. So in that way, it is very, very valuable, but it has its own limitations. I'll show you a little later what Excel can do and what it cannot do, and what you can do much more powerfully using data analytics software. I'm not saying you should not use Excel. I say data analytics is like a Swiss knife. Use the type of tool depending on the need. So analytics can be performed in Excel also as required. This gives you examples of the techniques of data analytics, which we are going to cover. Some of it, or I think most of it, we are going to cover, except the authentication check. We are going to cover most of this here in this particular presentation, because I got a specific presentation where I'm going to walk through one by one. You're going to look at classify, summarize, and MIS. We'll identify the duplicates of the gaps. We'll also look at how to identify formats in the exception. We'll also look at stratifying or aging, outlier analysis, RSF, that is relative size factor, maximum variance factor, Benford law. We are not going to look at compare files. There are other things like Beneshi model, which is used for financial modeling. We are not going to cover that. Cluster analysis also we are not going to cover, but Pareto analysis, ABC analysis, and fuzzy matching we're going to cover. Now let's see, we are going to use a software called ECAT, and this is what ECAT is all about. So I'm not going to spend much time on this, just to give you a quick synopsis that this is a software which has been developed with a man effort of more than 25 years. And there are two versions of ECAT. One is the ECAT Enterprise, which has more than 380 functions, which is designed for the enterprise or the CXOs. Even CS can use it. And the ECAT Pro, which is a smaller version of ECAT Enterprise, which is specially designed for CAs and their team. It has more than 120 functions. Now, these are the key features of a data analytics software, especially ECAT, and tells you what are the type of panels and what is it primarily used for. These are the features based on what the analytic features in ECAT can do. We can use it for enhancing Excel. It can also be time saver. You can perform data analytics and FI. You can perform business intelligence and MIS, and you can also perform documentation. These are the 7 key benefits of using ECAT. So the basic or the most important benefit is you will be able to enhance your skills and tools, which I'm going to demonstrate to you as we go on. So as I said, ECAT is designed with the perspective of applying stock to technology. You have the knowledge, you have the skills, and we give you the tools and techniques so that you can provide validation to your clients. Who are the users? ECAT can be used from 3 different perspectives: from the audit perspective, to find answers to audit questions; from the fraud investigators perspective, where you want to identify the possibilities of fraud; and it can also be used by the management and CXOs to find answers to questions. Now, these are the 7 steps for using ECAT for data analytics. First, you get the data ready for analytics, which means you prepare the data, curate the data. We always work on a copy of the files and perform the analysis on the copy of the files. You perform harmonize sheet to see that the data is available in the right format, all the headers, everything is organized. The basic principle when you want to perform data analytics in ECAT is the data should be in a tabular format. You document the field description and the related business process rules. I'm going to show a practical example of how to do this. And the fields which are not required, you delete, so that the data analytics becomes much more simpler and faster. You review the field formats and change it to the required format if required. As I told you, I'll also show an example of this. And remember, ECAT can perform and display results faster than your Excel in many cases, because at the backend it's got a database which is Access. ECAT is also available with SQL at the backend, and that is called as SCAT. So this will summarize the complete discussion we had so far. If you look at MS Excel is like a single knife, whereas ECAT is like a multi-dimensional Swiss knife, where you can perform data analytics on the fly in a few clicks. These are the panels which are available in ECAT. So you see the flow. You first curate the data, you profile the data, you analyze the data, then you investigate, and then you document. There is a lot of auto documentation feature available, and then you use utilities as required, and you also have various types of tools. So if you look at the relationship between data analytics and ECAT, you've got the business process controls, which you want to validate based on specific information criteria. You use the specific tools and functions and techniques from ECAT, and then you'll be able to analyze the report, prepare the report, and provide value addition. So the bottom line is you can do more in less time using ECAT. You can also watch the webinar demos and also recording of specific functions on ECAT on our website. Now let me come to the most interesting part. I wanted to finish in 20 minutes. I think we have stuck to the schedule. Now I would like to spend the next 40 to 60 minutes showing you the 20 techniques of how to use data analytics for specific bank branch audit, which you can use in any scenario. I'm just using the context of the bank branch audit. So just before I conclude, the tips on using data analytics. Once again, get access to data in the right format and curate the data. Second, understand the underlying criteria and controls you want to evaluate. Draw the right inferences from the analytics. Understand the relevant business process and rules. Select the right tools and techniques, and provide insights and validation to stakeholders. This is all about data analytics in few clicks using ECAT. This completes the first part of my presentation. Now we are going to go to the demo, where I'm going to get into specific areas. Let me close the other presentations which are not required. From now onwards, the presentation is going to be a little hectic. Watch this carefully, because I'm going to cover the demo of 21 key techniques of data analytics with examples. Okay, the first thing we are going to look at is what is called as column properties. Now, the example which I'm going to follow in this presentation, probably if you look at 22 to 3 minutes per function, so we'll have about 40 to 60 minutes. That's what I said. So I'm doing it in such a way so that if you're already using the software, you can follow and do it, but you will not have the file. But if you have the file, it will be a similar type of file you can also perform. This also will be recorded so that it is available for a future reference. Let's look at what is column properties. This is available in profile details column properties in function. It shows the column properties such as number of valid cells, blank cells, total cells, and data type of all columns. For example, let's say we perform column properties on the selected file and analyze result. Now let me come to the Excel file. Now this is a file which I received from a friend yesterday. Now, if you look at the original file, I want to show you the original file, and so that we get an idea. I'll be moving between the files. Let me minimize this. Okay, so we'll keep this minimal so that we have only minimal tabs and it will be faster to navigate. Yes, we have this file. Now I have the CSV file. Now if you see here, this is the CSV file. Now this already gives Excel itself gives you a message that is not able to identify, but still you go ahead, it identifies. Okay, you enable editing. You find when the data is in this format, you cannot really perform any analysis, especially in data analytics software. Okay, although Excel can recognize, but the problem is it will not be able to, you cannot use data analytics software in this. So in this case, what we do is simple, you just go here, save as, and make it as a, let's say load balance file for analytics, and I save it as a workbook. Now it is available as a workbook. Now if you see here, it is available as XLSX. Okay, once I've done this, now I need to go to each of the columns and see that it's properly formatted. Now I formatted. Now let's go to the formatting. Here, if you see, how do you know the formatting? You come to home, then see this marked as general. Now if you see, this is also general. Most of it is by default marked as general. So in this case, I come to this particular field and make it as numeric. When you make it as numeric, it also adds 2 decimals. So remove the decimals. Now this account description, I want it to be specifically text. So I'll mark it as text. Okay, so now this is a text. Now here, if you see again, this I'm going to mark it as numeric and remove the 2 decimals. Again, this will become text. So I'm not doing for all the fields. I just give an idea. Now these are all numeric. So wherever you got numeric data, this is up to this, it's a numeric. So I can also use this option and then say remove the decimals. Now this is a sanction date. Now you have to check whether the data is valid. So what you can do is just go and convert to the long date. Now you see, if you look at this particular column, you'll be able to know whether the data is valid. So if all the data is coming in this format, you know that the data is actually valid. Now you can go and select, make it a short date. So it means it becomes easy for you to perform analytics based on the date format. Now, similarly, if you see here, I got various others. Most of these are numeric. I just go and mark it as numeric. Okay, you select up to this and you mark it as numeric. This is how you do the formatting and get the data ready for audit. Okay, it's currency like that. I'm not doing for all the fields. I just want to give an idea. Now, here you see there is a problem here. Even if I change it to new date, still I think it gives you, it doesn't give you the proper formatting. Okay, Excel is not able to recognize this. When I come to this, here it's able to recognize, but analytics has got an issue because you got the 00 date and it's not recognized, and the 00 date is coming at the top. So in this case, what you have to do is maybe enter it as 1900. So at least few columns, then Excel will automatically, based on the first few rows, it recognizes as a date column. Okay, so like this, you format the data and once again save this. Now this file is ready for analytics. Okay, I'm going to close because I've already done this. Now this is a file which I've already completed the review based on it, and I've also performed some tests. So I'm just going to show you first the results, and then I'm going to perform the functions. Now if you see here, I clicked on column properties and the result I got. So what do you find here? The field names, each of the field name is given. What are the data type for each of them you have got? And you also have the total cells. Okay, so it means if you see here, that totally 3,425 cells. It also gives me whether any of the cells are invalid. It also tells me which are the cells which are blank. For example, you have the stress and SMA code, which have got 416 blanks. Similarly, distinct cells. This is very, very important. Now, at one glance, you are able to know what the total number of cells. Now, in account description, you know if you have to group them all together, there are totally 209 types of account descriptions. What is account description? If you see here, this is the type of loans which is granted. So totally, you know, at one glance, even without going to the details, you know there are 209. Customer number, you know that customer number is unique for each account ID, but the account ID, if you see here account number, we had 3,425, whereas the customer ID is 2799. This shows to you that there are more than 400 customers for whom we have given multiple loans, which means one customer number could be having multiple accounts. So this becomes very critical for analysis. You got the limit. If you look at all the limits put together, there are totally 786 types of limits which have been granted. Similarly, if you look at the INT rate, there are 153 types of INT rates which have been used. Similarly, if you look at the opening balance is available for only 334 accounts, which means 91 accounts, we don't have the opening balance. Now, what do we do with this? Now, if you look at this opening balance, I have blanks. So what I do is I just say, I want to pick up all this opening balance. I want to know why this opening balance. Now, if you see here, opening balance, now I see that the sanction date seems to be 2005, etc. I want to do a further analysis of this. So in this case, what I do is I want to extract. I don't copy and paste. I use a function called transform extract visible cells. Now, whatever is visible, now this is copied and a new sheet is created. So I call it as advances. OB is nil because this is what I'm going to analyze further. The same concept of extract visible cells, I could use it for other things also. Now let's come back to column properties. Now, if you see here, INT rate, And then we have this irregular amount. There are 518 accounts which have been marked as irregular. 518 rows. Okay, I want to pick up this 518 rows separately. In that case, what do? I come to this irregular, which are the accounts which are marked as irregular amount. I pick up other than dash. Now these are the accounts. If you see, there are totally 31 accounts. Okay, so let's just check this again. We had in the column properties, irregular amount, 518 distinct cells, which means although there are only, when I see this, there are only 31 accounts, they have marked this dash. There could be various other types of dash. Now let's pick up this also and see what happens. There are totally 36 accounts, which means some of these have not been marked properly. So simple thing in this case is, so we'll just remove this. Okay, I got this 31 accounts, which are marked as irregular amount. I also got the date of sanction. I want to analyze this further. So I say extract visible cells, and this will be marked as, this I'll call it as advances irregular accounts. Now it's very, very important to follow the naming convention so that it becomes very easy for you to have an audit trial of what has been done. Okay, now we remove the filter. Let's do a quick analysis. I'm taking more time, but I just want you to get an idea. This is what I was telling you, that in the case of data analytics, how it becomes just one simple function. I have not even performed the function. I'm showing you the result. I'll show you how simple it is to perform the function. So you got the EMIs due, EMIs paid. I can go and extract all this based on this particular list. Okay. Now here, if you see currency, there's only one field. So it means this field doesn't have any value for me. I can remove installment amount. There are two fields which are logical. Okay. So now this is one. Now let me show you how to perform this function. I'm going to open this loan balance file for analytics. Okay. Now this is the file I have got. Okay, this is not what I wanted to use. There is one more file which I wanted to use with the results. Yes. Yeah, this is what I have. Although I have not performed the results, I'm going to show you the results. Now, if you see here, this is the file I have got. So this starts the first demo. I want to perform column properties. Now, where is the column properties? If you see here, our presentation, column properties in profile data, column properties. I come to the Excel file. I click on ECAT, profile, data, sorry, details, column properties. Okay, I got this data. It gives me the list of all the fields which are available. Okay, I say load properties. It loads the properties of all these columns. See, at one glance, I've been able to get this insight. Just imagine if you're walking through Excel one by one, all the columns and trying to draw inference from this, how much time it would have taken you to get this particular insight. Now I got this information. Here I can analyze and I say I want in Excel. I just click Excel. Now see it's copied in Excel. In a few seconds, I've got how many elements of data for each of the 30 fields. I got excellent insights of what can be done. This is about column properties. Now let's move further to our presentation. Column statistics. This is also another very simple but powerful function. What can you do in column statistics? Displays the column statistics on numeric, date, and character data. So how do you do it? You perform column statistics on the numeric data and analyze the result. Okay, let's perform this function. Now first, let me show you the file where I've already performed this. See, I've got this numeric statistics. This is what I performed. For all the fields pertaining to numeric, which are numeric in character, I got this information. Now, I spend more time in analyzing the data and identifying the discrepancies. For example, it tells me what are the number of positive records, what are the number of in the account number. Now you find that no issue because all of them have positive. Similarly, number of positive records in ERR condition. So I need to know first what is ERR COND. Then you have the customer number. Then I have the EMIs due. So EMIs due has been marked for 3385 only. For 40 accounts, it is not. It is marked as 0. And there are 83 types of EMIs which have been used. EMIs due. Again, you got this insight. Installment amount. Now, if you look at the installment amount, there are totally 3, 4 to 4, which means for one account, installment amount has not been marked. You can go and identify why it is not marked for that one account. Let's cross check whether what we got is right. So if you come to advances, I was talking about irregular. No, which is the account I was talking about? Column statistics. This one, installment. So I said one account it has not been marked. I want to validate whether that's correct. Advances. Where is my installment? Yeah, we got the installment here. Now I just want to know which is the account where it is not CEOC. Got one account. This is not marked as installment. Why it is not marked installment? We are not sure. So what you do? Simple. What did I tell you? Go to eCAT Enterprise, transform visible cells, and copy this, because this you're going to review. You're going to discuss with manager as to why whether it has to come as a, you mark it as installment is 0. Why no installment is marked for this? Now, whereas you find if you look at the status, the limit was 2,20,000. The opening balance was there. It looks like they have paid part of the amount, 2 lakh. Yeah, most of the amount they've actually paid. It was sanctioned on 30th July 2012. Now it also gives you the IRAC norms. I'm not sure about the IRAC norms. You know, based on this, you should know probably this is an NPA or it's already cleared. Stress no, which means I think it is already there. Now regular RA date, which is the date on which they are marked as irregular, that's not available. Write off date also is not there. So you can just look at what is the issue with this particular data. So like that, wherever you find issues with the data, it becomes very easy for you to analyze. Let's go further. I'm going to remove the filter. Okay, so I looked at the, if you look at this particular account, this is the numeric statistics. I'm not going to all the columns. You can go through it. Just gives you an idea. See limit, maintain branch, all this. But you should know what is the meaning of all these columns. And that's where, as I said, an auditor prepares by preparing the data for analytics. How do I do that? Let me show you how it is done. It took me some time to do it, but I thought this could be useful for you, and I've done this for you. Now, if you see, we prepare what is called a data dictionary. How do you prepare a data dictionary? In this case, it's very simple. I go to this particular column, the first row, which has got the column heading, I copy it. Okay, I come to the data dictionary. In this case, what I do is actually, let's say I'll just show you in a new sheet. I'll paste it here as transpose. Now this becomes all my column names. Then I remove the formatting and call this as the column names. Okay, I add the serial number also so that I can track. Now, this is how the time you spend on preparation analytics is very, very useful, because the more you time spend in preparation, getting the understanding right, then becomes very simple. Now I got this. After that, what did I do? I added some additional columns, which is what is the field type? Okay, based on my analysis, I know what is the field type. So if you see the field type here, I got numeric, character, and date. And in character, also got some type where you got yes or no, which is a logical type. Okay, and then I got the business rule. What is the business rule which applies? For example, let me go through quickly some of this. Account number is 11-digit random number, which is unique for each account, and it has to be mandatory. We already tested that it is available for all the accounts. You cannot have an account where the account number is missing. Account description is a brief description of each advance type of advance, and it is mandatory. Now, customer number is 11-digit random number, unique for each account. It is mandatory for each customer ID. Only one customer number can have multiple accounts. This is a rule. So it means what is the type of test I can perform? Identify duplicates or distinct account customer IDs based on the account number, so that I know how many customers are there who got multiple accounts. Identify the format to check whether the format of the account is correct. With 11-digit, I want to see whether all of them is numeric. And summarize the account number and group by customer. I can do this. I'm going to perform some of the tests. So this is how I have actually put the meaning for each of this account. For example, I say maintain BR does not seem relevant. As only one value is available for few accounts. It doesn't have any meaning. So like that, for each of the accounts, I've marked what is to be done and also said what are the tests to be performed for each of them. Some of the tests you can also perform easily in Excel itself. And if there are any remarks, you'll also write the remarks. Okay, this is how you prepare the data dictionary. It's most important to prepare the data dictionary because it will help you to perform analysis in a better way because you know what is the type of data. Now let's get started. Now I was talking about column properties. You already gone through the column properties. See, I've prepared the column properties. Now I want to show you how you can perform the column statistics. I come to ECAT Enterprise. Now where is it available? Details, column statistics. So you have to just select and click. Selected columns. Okay, now I think I was in the wrong sheet. Let me come back to the correct sheet. It's very important when you're performing the analysis that you start because it works on the active file worksheet. So I come to this again, details, column statistics. It's validating the column names to check whether data type, everything is correct. I got this numeric. Okay, now it gives you various types of information. I'm just going to pick up, let's say for the timing, I'll just retain as it is. Okay, I'm going to ask that I want statistics for all of them. Okay, now just imagine the gold mine of information you get just by a single click. Now I would have spent probably a few hours walking through each of the columns to get a perspective of this data, which you're able to get in analytics in a few clicks. Now you can spend more time in analyzing the data. Now I got this particular information. I say I want it in Excel. I click Excel. And I got the information in Excel, which is what I showed you. Now let's go to the next function. I'm going to go a little faster. Stratify numeric. What does it do? Groups numeric data into different strata based on specific intervals and displays count and sum with percentage of each strata. So what are the tests I'm going to perform? Stratify limit by amount to identify the sum and count as per each strata of limit. And we also perform second test, which is stratify the outstanding by amount to identify the sum and count as per each strata of outstanding. Let's come to the results. Now this file is what I'm going to use. Now this file, the second file which I got here. File to review. This I've already used it. I'm going to close this. Especially when you're doing Zoom, I think it's important that you should have only the files which are minimal files open and also the minimal tabs which are required. Okay, let's come back to our example here. This is what you're talking about. Now I come back to the advances. Now, if you see, I was performing the numeric statistics. I've got the numeric statistics here. Same thing. Now I'd like to look at the date statistics. So details, statistics. Now here I click on date statistics. It tells me sanction date is the only date which is recognized by the analytics software. Now I would like to have all date statistics. Now this gives you some very interesting insights. Now there are no number of cells inconsistent dates. Also I'll pick up. I say, okay, now just see what are the type of insights you can get by this one function. Now here we got the date statistics. Let me go to the Excel view. Once I get the Excel view, when I'm in that particular function, I can also do a drill down. Now here, if you see, there are also loans which has got the earliest date of 16 December 99, the latest December, which means 31st March 21. Also, they sanctioned some loans. Now this gives you what are the loans granted month-wise. Now you also see here, there's one more interesting factor. It looks like this branch is granting loans on every day of the week. And even on Sundays, they've granted the loans. Okay, now I would like to know which are the accounts which have been sanctioned loans on Sunday. I come back again to this file. I say detail. I say column statistics. I'm going to date. I picked up this and I say number of cells and I say select all date statistics and I say okay. I'll be getting the result. Now I've got this result. Let's come to date field. Now if you see here, now I want to see which is the 16th December. I double click. I find there is only one account HT LIC hosting land. I think this looks like a loan to the staff. Okay, and this has been granted in 1999, and the total number of EMIs dues is 124, which means nearly 15 years. 1999, which means the loan should have actually closed in 2014, and it's a staff loan. So we need to check why it is not closed. What is the outstanding here? Now it says EMI due is 0, but there is an installment which is outstanding, which is 4,579. Okay, that is the monthly installment. What is the balance outstanding? So if you see here, this is where I said you need to understand the column, then it becomes, now if you see the outstanding, what is the total amount outstanding? Is it 1,51,596? And the opening balance was 149,871, which means this account is definitely an NPA and is supposed to be a staff loan. So you can definitely, I checked why this has gone bad, although it's a staff loan. Now, latest data, I want to see what is that manager doing on 31st March granting loans. Why did he grant loan on 31st March? And double click on this. No, not one loan. He has granted multiple loans on 31st March 21. What is the sanction date? These are the sanction date. Now you find these are the limits. Now this you find 63 lakhs has been granted on 31st March. Now this is the opening balance which is there. Okay, and there is outstanding. Now why sanction date is marked as 31st March when there is an opening balance? This is also another interesting question. Because the sanction date is marked as 31st March 21, or this could be a renewal of an expired loan. Then you have to look at the NPA provision and see whether they're actually recycling the loan. Okay, now if you see there is an opening balance and the same balance is shown as outstanding, and they mark the sanction date at 31st March 21, where they're trying to override the NPA provision by doing this. You can just, what do you do in this case? I just make it as Excel, save it in Excel, and then I do further analysis. So like that, I can do this particular analysis. Now let's say I got this loans on a Sunday. Okay, there are 30 loans. Now I would like to look at what are the loans. So if you see here, these are the 30 loans which are granted on a Sunday. What are the dates? It looks like they have been granting the loans, all these loans. Let's just sort it. Now if you sort it, now you see, even on 28 March 2021, they have been granting loans. 21st March, there is a loan. 28th February. So you find here that these are the loans which are granted on a Sunday. So you have to check with the branch whether they work on Sunday and what is special for them to grant a loan and sanction it on Sunday. And it also gives you the limit. Okay, so this is how you can get an insight about each of this. Now you also see March, for example, let's say March, there doesn't seem any abnormal. There are 325 loan accounts here. Okay, so this is how you can draw inference from the data which is available. Now let's come back to our presentation. So this is what I talked about, the statistics, which is the, sorry, I was looking at the column statistics. Now I'm coming to Stratify numeric. Okay, now let me come back to Stratify numeric. I've already told you what is Stratify numeric. Now let me also complete the second one, which is Stratify date. It's similar to the numeric, except that I'm going to use the date. Okay, I'm going to perform both these functions one by one. So what is that I want to perform? I want to perform Stratify on what? Now, if you see here, date Stratify. Now you can have various types of stratification. I'm going to pick up two examples. One is numeric. So this can be performed on numeric field only. By default, the numeric field is selected. I say I want to do based on the first, the limit, and I want total on the limit. Okay, now it says the total number of loans which are granted. If you look at the limits, it varies from 779 to 2 crores. Okay, now this is what it says. Now if you do this just quickly, now I say okay. It stratify the data and give you, now for example, you see 779 to let's say 20 lakhs. This is the amount. So it means 96% of the loan actually come under this category, and these are the exception loans. Now these accounts which are more than 40 lakhs. So it means there are about 115 accounts or so, 116 accounts where the loan is higher than 20 lakhs. Now let's say I want to go inside this category, which is less than 20 lakhs. I want to find out the exceptions. I'm going to perform this stratify once again. So what I performed earlier was the statistics based on the limit. I'm going to do the same thing again. So you see, it's very, very simple to use. I select the limit. So it's very important you know what to select. I have the field total. Now in this case, I'm going to select what is called as the free interval. And here I'm going to say, I know the starting figure is 779. I'd like to get between 1 lakh, or let's say I'm going to give it as 99,999. Okay, so here I'm going to give 1 lakh, and here I'll say amount between 3 lakhs. Now between 3 lakhs to 6 lakhs. Now here I'll say, okay, this I think I have to make it as 2 lakh. This has to be 99,999. Is it correct? No, I have missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5. Okay, I'm going to give one more example. Let's say I'm going to take 6 lakhs and I want it as 9,99,000. Okay, I'll just say okay. Now you see, you should be able to get the result for this specified interval what you're given. Okay, now what happens with the other accounts? They'll come as upper bound because these are beyond the limit what you're given. Now based on this, I can get this information. Not only that, I want to do further drill down. I can double click. I can get the information for each of these accounts. Let's close this and move forward. Next thing I want to do was stratify based on the date. What are the date I had? I had this, the sanction date. What are the total I want to do? I want to do based on the outstanding. Yes. Now period of, what is the type of this one I want to select? Let's say I want to do based on 30 days. Let's say I have this. Now it has got a lot of strata because the number of days is more. So I'm going to take it as 60. Let's see whether we can do it. More than 40 strata because it's got from 999. So I think what we do is we'll ignore the 999 and let's say it as 2010. Okay, now let's say fill. Still it has got more than this one. So in that case, what we do is let's do it based on the months. Okay, and then if I say increment, let's say we want to do based on 3 months. Now I got this from first, what are the loans sanctioned between these dates? And I say, okay. Now I'll be able to know for each sanction date for that particular period of 3 months, how many loans were sanctioned and what is the total value of the outstanding for each of the type of loans. Okay, this is how you can get the insight button to stratify. Let's go further. This is about stratify. Now let's look at classify, which is one of the powerful functions. Classify works on character data. It groups this based on the selected columns and gives you the sum and count of the corresponding column. Now let's say we classify as per the customer name and summarize based on the limit and the outstanding. So we got the customer name. I come to data. Now I classify. Classify, I do customer name and I want based on the limit and I want based on the outstanding. Yes, these are two things. I can select the percentage if I want. I can also do group by. So it means, let's say I want to do, for the timing I'll do without group by. Now this should give me, for each customer name, it should give me what is the number of loans and what is the outstanding. There are 3,425 accounts. We'll see what is the total number we get. Now you see here 2,734. You remember the numeric properties. Now I want to see how many accounts, how many customers have been granted more than one loan. I just do a single click here. This should sort the data. Now you see Mr. Duryodhan Sahu has been given 6 loans. Now this Bagban Bhera has been given 5 loans. So I get to know this another Niranjan Bhera has been given 5 loans. Now I would like to look at these details, double click. I can get the details. Okay, this is how I can do the classify. Now let's do the classify with one condition, one more condition. I say classify. I'm going to do based on the account ID. Account ID I cannot do. I can do, let's say based on, this is interesting. I'll do based on the customer name and I'll group based on the account description so that I can get as per the scheme, what are the total. Now let me just keep it to outstanding. Yeah, now you see you are clear about what we selected. We want customer name and you want also on the scheme details so that I know for each of the loans which have been granted, What are the number of loans as per the scheme? And then I can also do further analysis as required. Because we are doing a group by, let's see if we got the result. Yes, we got the result. Sometimes it goes to the background. You come back. Now, if you see totally 3365 accounts. Now, as per each of the scheme account description, you got the loans. Now, for example, this person, Niranjan Devi, has been granted 2 loans, one under MC, this particular scheme, another under pension loan scheme. Okay. Now, if you see this person, Abhimanyu, has been granted 2 loans under 2 different schemes. Now, here again, you have got the Behr, this B, Apipatra, you have got these 2 loans. So, like that, you have seen this here, with our remote talk about Dr. Basant Kumar Behra. He has been given 2 loans. What are the schemes under which has been given? Okay, now you want to see as per the account description. So just do a single sort. Based on each of the account description, you'll be able to know what are the loans which have been granted for each of the loans. For example, education loans, how many people have been granted? You'll be able to get an idea. What are the loans under bank deposit PER? I'm getting this personal loans. So this is how you can do classify with a group by. Now let me do another interesting function here. Now I want to know in this case, which are the accounts which are greater than the outstanding. So I'm going to do a classify and I want to compute. I want to do a classify based on, let's say, the customer name, and I want to pick up the limit and the outstanding, right? So I don't do any group by. I want to compute. What is that I want to compute? I want to compute outstanding minus limit. Okay, I add the formula. So it means this is what I want to find. Now, in this case, I also want to compare based on the results. I want to know whether the outstanding limit is greater than the sum of limit. The outstanding limit, sum of limit. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, so what I want to do was I want to pick up the sum of the outstanding as per each of the customer, and the amount is step 3, sum of the limit, and I want to pick up greater than. I had already added the formula, and I say okay. Now you see the magic. For each of the customer, it will compute the outstanding. Now, just as we're speaking, we already got the result. Okay, sum of the outstanding. Okay, we got the sum of the limit, sum of the outstanding, and what is the amount which is outstanding in the limit. Now I want to pick up who are the guys. Now you see here, this party is here. What is the limit? 9 lakhs. What is the sum of outstanding? 10,93,739. What is the percentage by which this amount exceeds? Now I have got this information. Now what do? I need to further analyze and check whether these accounts, what are the category they belong to. So what do? I just say Excel, and I can save this information and do further analysis. This is how I can also do compute and compare based on the classify. Let's come back here to our presentation. Compute and compare, I've already shown you what is that you can do in compute and compare. Now let's do group by. So what does group by do? I've already shown you it's similar to classify. So I'll not spend time on this. Let's go further. But I'll just show you the function so that you can get an idea. Then I'll also come to duplicates. Identify duplicates. What do? Identify duplicate in customer number, or you can identify duplicate based on the account number. We know it should be null. Okay, let's come back. First, let's do group. Let me show you the group by. So where is group by available? Data, group by. So the difference between classify and group by is, in the case of group by, it can be any type of a field. So I want to pick up based on, let's say, customer number, let's say account number, and I want to pick up the total amount of the limit and the outstanding, and I want to group by, that is group by based on the customer number. Okay, so what do I expect to get? I expect to get for each of the account number, along with the customer ID, I'll be able to get how many number of loans have been granted. Like what you did in classify group by, this function is similar. So where do you apply group by? Where you're not sure, we don't want to go run between a character field or a numeric field. So you're not bothered what Okay, I think I have to share the screen once again. Okay, I'll share the screen. Okay, share. Right, let me see, cross check whether we have shared correctly. Can you confirm whether you're, yes, I think we have shared correctly. Yes, let's get going. So this is the result we got. I'm going to minimize again. Okay, now let's come back to identify duplicates. This is very simple. Where is the function available? ecat identify duplicates. Identify duplicates on account number. It's very simple. Account duplicates. I'll also show you. Okay, this should be is very simple because okay, now I come to this one because already knew there are no duplicates. Identify duplicates based on, let's say, the customer name. So the customer number, this there will be duplicates in this, and I want a summary. This is how you find difference between what is there in Excel. Here, I found for each customer number, you'll also be able to get to know how many loans have been granted. Now, I want to do the same thing, identify duplicate based on the customer name. I can also do that. But the only thing is now here, if you see, I've also sanitized the data. So in this case, they've entered some of the names with the prefix. Some cases they entered without the prefix Mr. or Miss. So I did the analysis to remove all the Mr., Miss, Shri, etc., so that it becomes easy for us to identify duplicate customers. Let's see if I got duplicate customers. Identify duplicates based on the, I'm going to pick up the customer name without prefix. Customer name without prefix. Okay, I want summary. Now for each of the customer number, I'll be able to get what are the number of loans I have got here. See, totally 610 names of customers are there. It could be possible the same name may be available for multiple customers. So when I'm doing this, it's always better to take it along with the account number. So it could also be possible they have entered the names in different ways. Okay, you got Durga Prasad Panda, you have Durga Prasad Sahu, there could be different names with slight changes. You'll also be able to identify. You can do a detailed analysis based on this. This is what it said is identify duplicates. Same, different. What is the same, different? I want to find where customer number is same and the account number is different. In this case, I got only minimal data. So let's say I had for each of the customer number, I had the PAN number or the account number. Then I can find out, okay, which are the cases where the account number is same, but the PAN number is different, or the customer number is same, but he has given two different PAN numbers. Let's perform this quickly. So where is identify? You see here, same, different. It will be part of the duplicates. Let me see if I can wrap up in another 15 minutes. Okay, what is that I want to find? I want to find where the customer name is same, but the account number is different. Okay. They should be able to give me all the cases where the customer name is same and the account number is different. We also know there are many customers who got multiple loans. Now this I can save it and also compare with this. Now you got 1,299 accounts. Okay. This is how you can find. So this is just a simple example of how you can do analysis based on what you want. Let's go to the next function. Identify format. This is a very simple function. You can identify format for each account number to check whether the field length is same and if there are any exceptions. I've got this identify format. Now what is that I want to identify format? I want to identify format based on the account number and I want to show the field length. I say okay. Now what will happen is you should be able to mark in each of this. It will mark the last column with the field length, with the character name. Now I can apply a filter, and if it's same, I can also identify duplicate. You see there is only one type, which means I know that this is perfect. Okay, this is how I identify format. I can also use it for, let's say, PAN, GSTN, customer ID, wherever the unique number, I can just apply this to get an idea about this uniformity. Identify topics. This is another interesting thing where I want to find top 10 customers as per a particular scheme. Okay, based on outstanding and as per the account description. So here, come back to eCAT Enterprise. I want to perform topics, top last X. So it says you got some special characters. Okay, we'll remove the special characters. It is already done. Now, what is that I want to perform? I want to perform based on top last X. I want as per the top 10 loans as per the account description, as per each of the schemes. And I want top 10 loans. Okay, now let's see whether we can get this. I don't want any grouping, which means for each account description, I want the top 10 loans. I say, okay. So we knew there are about 153 types of account description. For each of the account description, I should be able to get the top 10 loans. Now, I think I selected wrongly because this should have been a numeric field. I selected a character field. Now, what to do is it will apply based on the character, which is not correct. We got the result, but this is not correct because it picked up based on the character. This is not what we're looking for. Let's perform this correctly again. Data, top last X. Top last X, which means this has to be it has to be a numerical value. Let's say I want to pick up based on the outstanding. Okay, this is what I want. I want top 10 and I want to group by the account description. Okay, now in this case, let's see if I can group based on this. It can group only 50 accounts at a time. So it means I have to select only a few accounts at a time. I'm going to select, let's say, just for the demo, I'm going to select a few examples. Let's say 5 accounts. Now for these accounts, I should be able to pick up for each of the schemes, what are the top 10 accounts. Now you see here, we don't have 10 accounts in each of the schemes. That's why totally we got 16. For each scheme, it has given the number of loans. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Now this is called as aging. Now this is a very interesting function. What that we do aging? We do aging based on the sanction date and total outstanding. We can specify 30 days, 60 days, and based on that we can get the result. Okay, now we come to eCAT Enterprise, and we could perform aging. Now aging, when you do, by default, it selects the sanction date. Now you should see what is that you want to total. You want to total based on the outstanding. Yes, I got the outstanding. Now it has picked up 30 days increment. Okay, now let's say I change it to 60 days. Okay, and I want to group by. I can also do group by. I am currently not doing any group by. Now I have to fill. Yes. Now this will give me the number of loans for each 60 days. Okay, between 0 to 60 days, how many loans have been sanctioned? 60 to 120 days, which means based on the periodicity, because you selected the last date and the 31st March. Upper bound means last more than 3 years back, 670 loans have been granted. Now during the current year, if you see 60, these are the loans which have been granted, which are less than 360 are the loans which would have been granted during the year. I want to see details. I double click and see the details. This is about the aging. I can also perform MIS. This is also another interesting function. What can I do in MIS? Now I come to analysis. MIS, there are 3-4 functions which I'll quickly perform one by one. I've got the sanction date. I want to analysis based on, let's say, the outstanding. And I have MIS. I want based on, let's say, month wise. Okay, so I want to know based on the month wise. And grouping, I am currently not looking at any grouping. The same thing, I'll be able to get the loans as per each of the months. Now you see, very quickly we got the result, which means for each of the months, March 2021, what are the total count, which means 129 loans have been given. In December 2020, 161 loans. I get a complete list of all the loans which have been granted month-wise right from the beginning. So it means there are totally 167 accounts. Now, can I do the analysis based on, let's say, MIS? Based on, let's say, a limit. And I want MIS based on, let's say, quarterly, which means every quarter, what is the number of loans sanctioned? Yes. So it means for each quarter, right from the inception, I should be able to get this information. Okay. With the year, I'm able to get the details. So we looked at the this one. Now let's come to outlier. What is an outlier? There's an outlier, identify outstanding which are 4 times the average. It means you want to just look at in the limits of what are the accounts which are 4 times the limit. So identify outliers, and here we have got numeric. So I'm going to pick up here the outlier. This is the outstanding, or I can pick up the limit. Okay, and group by. I'm not going to do any group by. I want to pick up which is, let's say, 5 times the average. Okay, and I want this this one. Okay, let's pick up this one. Yes. So I'll be able to pick up all the accounts which are 5 times the average limit. Same thing I can also apply for, let's say, the outstanding. So outliers will show you which are the ones beyond a particular boundary. So in this case, now you find some account is 2 crore rupees. So you'll be able to identify that account, which are the accounts which is beyond this one. Now, because I'm not grouped, what I'll do is it will based on all the limits, I'll be able to get the accounts which are more than 5 times the average. See, there are totally 95 accounts. It gives me what are the accounts, and you can see the sanction date, the outstanding, and these are the accounts which are more than 5 times the average. We are also getting 0 amount. We have to check why this is coming. Okay, let's go ahead, close it and move further. Now Pareto analysis, and then Pareto analysis gives you identify the top outstanding based on the Pareto principle. Let me do the same thing, another analysis based on the ABC principle, which is 60, 30, and 10. We'll also look at the Benford law. I'll come to Benford law later. Let's perform the Pareto analysis. This is very simple. This is all for the purpose of grouping based on a particular criteria. What I want to know is, I know there are totally 3,425 accounts. What I want to know is based on the analysis field, which is the outstanding. Okay, select primary field, which is the customer number. Okay, I want to do the 80-20 and I want the summary. So I should be able to know based on the customer number. Okay, there is an issue here. Let's come back again and perform the analysis. I think I selected the wrong field, Pareto. Pareto selects analysis field. I'm going to select the field which is customer name. Select, okay, this has to be the amount. Outstanding, primary field, this has to be the we already got the outstanding. This is based on the customer name. Customer number. Okay, let's take the customer number. Let's apply whether you can get this information. So there is an issue here with this. Ideally, you should have got the result as 80-20, which means for the based on this. Let's try this once again. Last time we are doing the analysis based on the Pareto principle. Okay, I'll just keep the outstanding and I'll group it based on the customer name. Okay, let's keep it this way. So it means based on the customer name, I want to know how many customers have got this. Let's say, okay. See, it's very, very quick if you select correctly. So it means based on this customer name, we have got 80%, 2,740 loans which constitute 80%, and 684 account which constitute 20%. Okay, same thing. I'm going to do the analysis based on the ABC. ABC is similar. The only thing I do is based on the, now here I select the outstanding. Okay, I can say group by, like say the customer name. Okay, and I have already got default 60, 30, 10. Now this will group these categories. There is an issue here. Again, I think I'm not selecting something correctly. Outstanding. So group by, I should be able to group by the customer name. Okay. And let me pick, okay. Let's see if we can get the result. Yeah, so now if you see here, outstanding customer name, based on this, you got 2002 customers actually constitute 60%, ABC 30%, and these are the 10%. Okay, now let me quickly see what is that we can cover now. We can considering that Benford law. I think it's very simple. I'm not going to cover this. I think there are other examples you can see. I can identify the variances. Let me finish this anyhow. It doesn't matter. Oh, I got only 2 or 3 more. Let me finish this. Let's come back to Benford law. Benford law can be applied to anything which is beyond the normal. Let's show the result and show you how it works. It is there in statistics, Benford law. Yeah. Now Benford law I'm going to apply based on the outstanding amount, or let's say pick up based on the limit, because that's very relevant. First digit. That's all. I'd say okay. As per the Benford law, the probability that a value will begin to 1, especially random value begins with 1, is 30.1%. In this case, actual percentage 25.5. This Benford law, it should be 17.6, where it starts with 17.2. So in this case, I get to know, okay, which are the accounts to start with 9. Okay, it's actually 4.6 as per Benford law. So based on this, I can identify, are there any variances? For example, somebody is trying to sanction a limit of 90,000 rupees, where the maximum limit is 1 lakh, which means in that case, the Benford law will show 4.6, where the actual percentage could be 8% or 10%. This is where we identify the exceptions used in the Benford law. Now let's come to the relative size factor. Relative size factor is a very interesting. Okay, let's understand what is the relative size factor. Identify the differential interest rate and the ratio between the first maximum and the second maximum. Now here, so which means you already done the homework. What is that you're going to apply the analysis on? I have the relative size factor. I'm going to apply it based on the RSF field, which is the INT rate. Okay, not the INT rate. This is the account description. Yeah, I'm going to do based on the account description, and I'm going to apply the INTA rate. So this should be able to give me, for each type of account description, is there any variance in the interest rate? Just imagine the type of insights we can get through this. So this will find out the first maximum, the second maximum, and give me the difference. Ideally, in this case, the bank is following consistent policy. There should not be any difference at all in this case. Now, if you see here, you've got 80 cases. Now here you find car loan, the count of loans, first maximum 11.75%, and the second interest rate is 9.8%. Okay, the 7.4%, 6.4%. So this could be possible. They got in the same scheme, we have got different rates. So we need to check why these different rates have been applied. Is it that it's a staff loan or something else? Okay, this is how we get at one glance. You'll be able to get. Same principle applies. Let me show you the maximum variance factor. What are the maximum variance factor? The maximum variance factor applies the same thing, except it find out the highest and the lowest. So I come to analysis, maximum variance factor. So I pick up the account description, and here I have to pick up the INT rate. That's all. You have to just pick those two things. Now you'll be able to compute and tell me what is the highest rate for each of the scheme, what is the lowest rate. Now you see 209 schemes are there. Now here there's an interesting figure. Now OLD, so you got the interest rate is 10%, lowest is 5.9, here 14.35, 9%. So you get the variances in each of these cases. Now you can go and analyze why this has happened, and based on that take a call whether, now you see the variance, percentage variance between each of these interest rates. Now does it mean the interest rates have varied during the year? For example, here you see this DL bank deposit PFR. So the highest rate is 10%, the lowest rate is 5.9%. This could be because the interest rate has varied during the year. So you can just analyze this and take it further as to why this happened. Now another function, interesting function, which is now we're coming to the end, which is the fuzzy match arrange. What I want to know is, I want to know based on the name, whether there are any duplicates. Okay, with this, I can close the presentation, but I want to show you one more important thing, which is the sampling part. I'll come to the sampling part. Now, what is that we want to do? I want to do fuzzy match based on this name. I got the fuzzy match, arrange. I got fuzzy match arrange. Now you have to select the custom name without prefix. Okay, and space, I'm going to give a space here. That's all. Okay, find duplicates, which means in this case, it'll rearrange the names. Let's look at the result and you see the interesting part. How many names are actually duplicates? Now, whether you've given us Amrita, Anandita Pandey, or Panda, Anandita, Amrita, whatever it is, it'll all be rearranged, and based on that, it'll identify the duplicates. Let's say you got the Surinder Behra, another place they entered it as B Surendranath. Okay, or another place they have this NVR Murthy, gave it as Murthy NVR. What will be the way they have actually changed, you'll be able to get this information. Now, before till the result comes in, let me give you a quick synopsis of what sampling is all about. There are about 34 types of sampling. I've got a demo video which gives you examples of 15 types of sampling. In this webinar, I'm just going to close another maximum 5 minutes. What I want to show you is maybe 3-4 types of sampling. It's very simple. I've already performed classify. On the classify, I can go to sampling and pick up the classified. Based on that, I'll be able to pick up which are the samples I want to select in each of them. And sampling, I can select based on different criteria. This is going to take a little time because what is happening is it actually has to process each of the rows, and in each of the cells, it has to rearrange. So it's going to take a little time, especially when you got about 3,425, because this is not a query based function. It's actually function based on individual rows. So whenever you perform these type of functions, you should be clear that this is going to take time. Let me come to the website in the meantime and show you where I got the demo of the sampling. If you come to, let's say, ECAT Enterprise, you have the videos here. There are different types of videos. Here you see practical demo of 15 key function sampling. We can go to this. I've actually explained how you can perform sampling. So it's very simple. What function we performed earlier, the same thing can be done using sampling. For example, let's say we did classify. If you remember, what we did in classify is went to data and we did classify and we got the result. In the case of sampling, we go to sampling. In sampling, we have to decide what is the type of sampling we want to adopt. First, I want to do classify, and then based on that, I pick the sample. For each of the group of sampling, let's say for each account description, I want to pick the sample, I can do that. Okay, this is taking time. Yes, we already got the result. Excellent. Now, if you see here, that totally 1,344 names, which are, this is a customer name, okay, without prefix. Now, if you see the last part, see this where it has rearranged. Okay, now if you see here, what will be the name, it will be rearranged. I'll get the name in this particular order. So this you can save and do the analysis and check whether some of the names, what they've done is, for example, let's say Dinesh Behra, they were entered as Behra Dinesh. So you'll be able to identify all these things in one shot in this using this fuzzy match function. Okay, let me show you one example of sampling. Let's say I come to sampling. Now I say profile, I say classified. Same technique is followed for everything. I come to what is that I want to perform? Account description. Okay, I want the total of the outstanding. I don't want any group by. I say okay. Now I've got this result. Now, if you see, the only important thing in this case, I have the sampling tab which is enabled. Now here I can go do the sampling based on top 10x. For example, in this case, I want to pick the top 3. Now in this case, only 3. Let's say if we can sort this. Now I've got the 767. I want to pick the top 10%. I can give the 10%, or I want to pick up based on the random. Let's say in this case, I give random 10. So here I can give 5. So based on what I enter, let's say in this case, I'm just giving 3 as an example. I say extract. It will extract the sample based on this. You'll extract 20 samples. Like that, you can go and select the sampling. The same function I can also perform, let's say, for summarize, like that. There are about 34 types of sampling. All these follow the same route. You perform the function, enter the sample size, and you can extract the sample size. So you perform an intelligent sampling based on what you want. See, now you see here, you've got this 20 samples, and you can save this in Excel and perform the analysis. So I hope you got a quick idea of what are the functions which is possible and how ECAT could be a very powerful tool for doing analysis. So thank you very much. And I'll also placing the recording of this webinar for you. Maybe, I cannot share the file. I'll place the recording of this file on the webinar, on our website. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you in the near future. Bye.